We start with our CTO Summit. We have 6 amazing people here, from heads of strategy to heads of product development for global corporations. This segment is about bringing about disruption, bringing about transformation through digitalization, artificial intelligence, and technology.
So the market outlook for oil and gas, now with the Brent crude price per barrel exceeding 75, shooting for 80 plus, things are starting to change. And in some of the geos around, we see quite a remarkable increase in major capital projects, which is good. And we also see, especially in my region, in Europe, in Norway, the advent of new energy forms sliding in, not necessarily under the radar, but still relatively small scale. And the global oil and gas production and consumption numbers are still climbing. However, the replenishment and recovery numbers are not that good across the globe. Coupled with both an aging workforce and a talent departure, the industry is facing a set of challenges, but also opportunities. An increase in merger and acquisitions, as well as technology-driven joint industry projects, are set to mitigate these issues.
I think the dynamic that you've seen over the past few years was that when you had very high oil prices, and I think some of the progress in technology that Dan described earlier hadn't quite matured to this extent, I think there was a sense of complacency. But after the the recent drop in oil prices, and even though there's a little bit of a recovery now, the key thing now is how do you get operational efficiency up, right? And I think there's tremendous excitement in terms of the technology that's now available, the possibility. But very often we get into this mode about what could happen in 5 years or 10 years. The question though is what do you do now? And that's where we see that as something that I think companies as our customers and we as Baker Hughes GE need to invest a great deal in.
A graph that you have that is asymptotically going to zero, in my mind, is the cost of energy.
Right.
And companies that will be successful in navigating through this are the ones that do 2 or 3 things right. The first is around optimizing, to use your word again, the value chain. It's around starting with portfolio, to development, to operations, to commercial. How do you optimize the entire value chain? That's the first. The second one is around realizing the optionality that you have in your value chain and then monetizing it in the best way by actually dispatching your molecule, your hydrocarbon molecule, to the right end use that can fetch you the best revenues or netbacks.
Great, thank you. I think soft skills is an amazing area that needs to be addressed. However, data scientists, Philippe, you mentioned was that we have a massive global shortage of at least 10,000 data scientists, which you can fill tomorrow morning. What do we do to overcome that?
So, coming to the data scientist shortage, if you look on LinkedIn, there's about 6,000, 7,000 people who claim to be data scientists, and that probably, those guys are the top of the crop, the best ones, and a few more that are doing data science. But if you look at the job openings in San Francisco alone, there's already about 6,000 job openings in San Francisco for data scientists. So there's a huge mismatch between the demand and what's available on the market. And what that means is if you look at what's coming out of universities today, we are seeing a very, very hot battle to grab the best data scientists, the best engineers from all the top schools. And we're also seeing a big gap in kids that come out of university between the ones that know how to work with the knowledge that is available to them from the one that just learn how to learn what's in the books but don't know how to use all the knowledge.
Thank you. Professor Rose.
I think it's always important to remember that the oil and gas industry, just by the pure size of the investment cash flows, is a hugely influential industry. If we take the industry as a whole, we are a multi-trillion dollar industry. So by the way, how we invested, in what we invested in, and the sort of programs we run will actually have a marked impact in the market on which way it goes. So this is a very big industry. If we actually embrace digitalization and artificial intelligence, and if we put our money where our mouth is, we will actually educate the people, we will invest in this, we will have eventually the engineers, and we'll put the plants, the fully automated plants in place. So this industry has a real impact, and particularly in those countries like here in the Middle East, the impact is very, very large on the economies. And by doing that, we can shape actually the future of the digitized oil and gas industry very well.
So I'm going to use Tariq's metaphor about surfing. So he showed the surfer on top of the wave, and that guy is really comfortable in managing the data. So I surf, and I can tell you that of a 1-hour session, you surf 2 minutes, and you paddle 58 minutes. So it's about paddling. It's about testing your resolve on smaller stuff, and I don't think there's such a thing in quick wins when you've got a strategic view on developing something. You have to think long term, you have to try yourself out on things that you know you'll master, and that's what we're doing. Or else the risk is being caught inside. That's what a surfer fears, is when the wave is growing and growing and you're paddling and you're getting caught. It's about timing, it's about diving under the wave, it's about coming out at the right time. So that's our approach. I'm not a big fan of quick wins. You have to have them, you have to celebrate successes, but you have to keep a bearing and know where you want to go.
Wonderful analogies. Big hand to the whole team.